Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Today we'll be discussing CSS borders, margin and padding. Before we start, I hope the screen is clearly visible and the audio is fine. If yes, please type in yes in the chat section. Otherwise, do let me know if there are any issues so that we can resolve them straight away. Let's wait for some more minutes so that some more people can join us. Until then, let me tell you guys that we have regular updates on multiple programming videos. So if you are a programmer and if you want to learn something new, then consider getting subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates from SimpliCode. Great, I think we can get started. Today, we are going to cover three different topics. We are going to cover borders, margin and padding in CSS. So all the three topics plays a vital role in styling the structure of a web page. So we are going to start this video with CSS borders and then we'll see what margin and padding are. So without any further ado, let's start with CSS borders. The border properties or the border property in CSS allows us to specify how the border of a box or any particular shape representing an element should look like. Let's say we have an image in a HTML document or in a web page. We want to give borders to that image. It will look good with borders, right? So that's what we are going to discuss in this video. We are going to see how we can add borders, what style changes we can make in a CSS part, or we can say in a web page with the help of border properties present in CSS. So there are three properties of a border which we can change. We can change the border color, the border style and the border width. So without wasting any more time, let's move on to the programming part directly and it will be easy for you guys to understand it. Now, what we have here is nothing. So here you can see inside the body element, we have only one h1 tag wherein we have placed a heading for today's topics. So we are going to start with CSS borders first. Now what we'll do is we'll create a div tag, an empty div tag, let's say. So let's write something over here inside the paragraph and we are going to write here. We are going to discuss about CSS borders. Save it. And here you can see we have this small paragraph present on the browser. Let me increase the size a bit. So here you can see, here we have written over here. We are going to discuss about CSS borders. That's perfectly fine. Now we are going to use an internal CSS property. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the style attribute, not attribute, the style element, which we are going to define in the head section. Basically, this is in line. Now what we are going to do is we are going to give border to this particular division. For border, what we mean is this particular division will have a border which will be rectangular in shape, I guess. So let's try it. Let's understand how it actually works. So what we are going to do is we are going to write here ID, and ID we are going to mention is div1, save it. And here we are going to access this element with the help of ID attribute. So the ID is div1. We have to access it with the hash symbol present here. So here what we are going to do is we are going to write here border. Now there are three different border properties: border color, border style and border width. We are going to start with border, let's say width. Fine. Border width is going to be 2 pixels. Save it. And here you can see nothing is happening right now. Now we are going to start with border color. So border color is, let's say we are going to keep a border black in color for now. Save it. And here you can see it's still not visible. So we have to include all the three properties. Now we are going to write here border style. So we have to mention the border style as well. So here you can see we have all these styles. We have dashed, dotted, double, groove, hidden, inherit, initial, and these all are the border types. We can say style types we have in border. So let's use it over here. Solid. Fine. Solid is also a type. Save it. And here you can see now we have the border present over here. Border around the whole div tag. So this paragraph tag is, we have nested it within the div tag, and the border we are defining for the whole division. So this is the whole division. So if you will say, if we are writing over here like this, if we are using a break tag and then we are including another para. So let's do it, let's try it, and let's see if it works or not. So we are going to write here, welcome to our YouTube channel. Fine, save it. And here you can see there's a break tag we have used here in the HTML document. So here you can see the space on the web page, and then we have another paragraph. So let me just get fine, save it now, and now it looks perfectly fine. So this is what borders are. So this is the border of this particular division. Anything we are going to write inside the here will be covered inside the border only. So that's how the border property actually work. But you have seen here that we have used three different properties. We have used border width, border style, and border color. So if we are not using any of these properties, then it will not work, right? So if we are removing the border style from here, save it, and here you can see the border is gone now. Why is it happening? Because the border should know, like the browser should know what type of border we are using. That's how it can apply the border to a web page. So this is how the border property actually works. So what we can do instead of this is we can use a single property, or like we have used the border color property here, right? So instead of using the whole border color property, what we can do is we can give different color to each of the sides of this rectangle. So let's say if we want to color the top area, so what we have to write here is border hyphen color. Okay, so we have to mention the part first. So this is the top area, this is the border top, this is border left, this is border bottom, and this is the right border. So what we are going to do is we are going to write here border top color. Border top color is, let's say we are going to write here green. Fine. Okay, we have to write not semicolon, we have to write colon over here, save it. And here you can see the border top color is green. Similarly, we can change other borders as well. So let's say we are writing over here border right. Border right is, okay, so we have to write here border right color basically. So border right color is going to be red, let's say. Save it. And here you can see the right side of this particular box is red in color. Similarly, we can color the bottom and the left part as well. So for the bottom, we have to write here border bottom color. So border bottom color is going to be blue. And here you can see the blue color. And let's style the left side as well. Bottom left color. Fine. So we have to write here border left color as yellow. Save it. And okay, so we have to write here border, not bottom. Border left color is yellow. Here you can see the border is of four different colors. The top of this border is of green color, the right is red, the bottom is blue, and the left side is yellow in color. So this is how we can change the different borders, right? We can change the different sides of a rectangle. So it's working totally fine. Now, the border style property. Here you can see the border style property, we have given the value as solid. What we can do is we have different values for this. We can use solid. Border will be a single solid line. We can use dotted. Border is a series of dots if we are using that property. Border is going to change if we are going to write here dotted. Save it. And here you can see it's a series of dots. After that, we have the double property as well. So the double value, basically it's not a property, it's the property value. So we can write over here double, and here you can see we have double lines. Let me just show you by increasing the width of this border. So here you can see we have a border of 5 pixels and we have double lines. It looks pretty nice, right? So this is how we can use the border property. There are many other values like groove, ridge, inset, outset, hidden. We can use any of them. The hidden will hide all the borders. It means that if you have borders or if you don't have borders, it will remain the same if you are using hidden. Fine, save it. And here you can see the borders are gone. We can also write here border style as none. It means the same as hidden. So other than that, we can use the groove prop value here. Save it. And here you can see groove. Similarly, we have other values as well like inset, You can see the inset and we have outset as well. So we'll write over here outset once, save it. And here you can see this is the outset value. So this is how we can manage the borders present on any element. We can give borders to any element. Basically, if we are using an image, if you have been through the previous tutorial wherein we were using image with borders, you have seen what style changes we made to that particular image, right? So this is how we can change the border style. Instead of that, we have a border shorthand property. Now, border shorthand means we have to write one property and three different values. So here you have seen we are using three different values like border style. Let me just write here border color once. And we have to write here gray, let's say. Save it, and the border is gray in color. Now, you have seen we have used three different properties here, right? Border width, border color, and border style. Instead of using these three properties, what we can do is, just let me do this one thing. It will be easy for you guys to understand. I have to put this border color property over here. Okay. So we'll write over here border color and it's going to be gray. Save it and it's perfectly fine. Now, instead of using these three different properties, what we can do is we can write over here border and we can provide the values directly. So border means border width, style and color. A shorthand property it is. First thing we have to do is we have to mention the border width. So let's say the border is going to be 10 pixels solid. Then we have to mention the border style. Border style is we can use any, let's use double, and then we have to mention the color of our border. So let's say we are going to write over here pink, and we are going to remove these three properties from here. This is one property with three different values: the border width, the border style, and the border color. Fine. Now save it, and here you can see it's working totally fine. The double property is working because we have two different borders over here. The border width is 10 pixels and the border color is pink. We can use other styles as well. Let's use inset over here, save it. And here you can see it's working totally fine, right? So this is the border shorthand property. Apart from that, we can use rounded borders as well. For rounded borders, what we have to do is we have to mention one single property and the borders are going to be rounded from all the four corners. So these corners will change. If you can see here, this corner, what we have to do is we have to write here border radius and we have to mention the border radius value. We can use pixels, we can use percent, anything we want to use. So let's just use pixels for now. Save it. And here you can see the change. The border is rounded from the corners. We can use 15 as well here. So here you can see the borders are rounded from the corners, or basically the whole shape is rounded from the corners. Instead of that, we can use percent here as well. If you are writing here 50%, it will create a circle. Save it. And here you can see this is a circle. Fine. Now we have to mention the height as well. So that's what we can do with other CSS properties. That's not we are going to talk about right now. So let's just write here 50 pixels. Save it. And here you can see the corners are now rounded. This is because of the border radius property. So I hope you guys understand what border radius is and what are the different changes we can apply to a web page with the help of this border property. Moving ahead, we are going to discuss margin. So margins are used to create space around elements. Now, outside of any defined borders. So if you can see here, we have this border, right? So let me just make it easier for you guys. We are going to keep it 10. Now here you can see we have borders, right? So margin refers to this particular area. On the left hand side of this box, you can see we have very little space, right? So margin refers to that area. If we want to place a box somewhere specially, then we can use the margin property. So if I am writing over here, just for example, margin, and margin is we are going to keep it as 10 pixels, save it. And here you can see the left side of this whole box is changed now, right? It's 10 pixels now. From all the sides it's 10 pixels. If you are going to write here 50 pixels, save it, and here you can see it's 50 pixels from all the four sides, right? The space looks pretty similar from all the four sides. We have space here on the left hand side, which is 50 pixels. We have space on the bottom, so the bottom one is not visible as of now. The right hand side we have 50 pixels, and on the top we have 50 pixels again. So it creates space around elements, right? Now the CSS margin properties, there are different properties with CSS margin as well. We can set the margin for all the four sides: margin top, margin bottom, margin left, margin right. So if we are writing over here, let's say instead of margin, we are going to write over here margin left, and we are going to set the margin left to as, let's say, 25 pixels for now. Now only the left hand side will change. Now only this space will get affected because we have used the margin left property. Save it. Okay, so let me just close it once. Now we have to come back here, save it, and here you can see the left hand side we have 25 pixels extra space. The top didn't change, the right hand side is still 5 pixels or maybe something like that. Now we can change it as well. So we are going to write here margin right, we are going to change it. Let's give a different value to margin right. Let's give it 50 pixels, and here you can see the space is different. Here we have 25 pixels, here we have 50 pixels, almost double on the right hand side, right? So let's just make it 25 again so that you guys won't get confused, and now it looks perfectly fine, right? So we can also specify the margin for each side of an element. Similarly, we can style the top area and the bottom area as well. Let me just show you the top area. So let's see, we have the space here, right, on the top between padding and this brown line or the pink one, right? So we are going to write here 100 pixels to make the box present somewhere in between. Save it, and here you can see this is the space. We have 100 pixels over here on the top hand side of a box, right? So this is how the margin property actually works. For margin, negative values are also allowed. Like if we are writing over here, let's remove it. Let's remove everything. Save it. And here you can see we have this box over here, right? So what we can do is we can use negative values if we don't want this space between the word padding and a border. We can use negative values as well. Or we can use the auto value as well. So if we'll write over here margin auto. So I don't know if this will change or not. Let's see. Okay, so we have to write here nothing, just save the program, and here you can see it's perfectly fine. The margin is automatically fine as of now. We can give manual values to this box and we can change the margin accordingly. So we have the margin shorthand property as well. So for the margin shorthand property, what we have to do is we have to give 4 values. Value for margin top, right, bottom, left. So the values goes like this in a clockwise manner: top, right, bottom, left. So let's define them, and we are going to use the margin shorthand property. We are going to write here margin. We are going to define the top margin first. Let's keep it 100 pixels. Then without any space, we have to define the right margin. Let's keep it 50 pixels. Then without any comma, we have to write here the bottom margin. Margin bottom we can say. Let's keep it 60 pixels. And right after it, we have to define the left hand side as well. So left hand side, we are going to write here 25 pixels so that you guys can see what difference it makes. Save it, and here you can see from the top we have a margin of 100 pixels. The white space is large. From the right we have the space, or we can say the white space, of 50 pixels. From bottom we have it 60, and on the left hand side we have 25. So on the left and right, if you guys can see clearly, the space is almost double on the right hand side, right? So yeah, let me just show it to you guys. This is the actual zoom, the 100% of Google Chrome. Here you can see on the left hand side the space is less as compared to the space on the right hand side. So this is how it works. Now we are done with margin. We can use two values as well. So if we are going to use here 150, let's say, the first value will define the top and bottom margins, and the second value will define the left and right margin. So let's check it out, save it, and here you can see that from the top we have 100 pixels, from the bottom we have 100 pixels, from the left and right we have 50 pixels only. Now the white area present on the left hand side is similar to that present on the right hand side of a box, right? So this is how the margin property works. Now, the next property we have is padding. Just like margin, padding is used to create space around an element's content. So if you can see, we have this element over here. Margin refers to this area, right? Outside the box. And padding refers to this area inside the box between the content and the border. Fine. So this outside area is going to be the margin, this is going to be the border, and inside it we have to mention padding as well. Padding refers to the space between the content and the border. Fine. So let me just show you guys. What we have to do is we have to write here padding left. I will show you. It will be easy for you guys to understand this way. So here you can see we don't have any space between the left border and our content. Let's use some space. Let's give it 5 pixels over here. Save it. And here you can see. Okay, just a minute, guys. So save it. This is a initial box. So here you can see we don't have any space. We are not using any margin as of now. Or we can just define here margin. Let's say margin is going to be 25 pixels from all the sides. So here you can see we don't have any space between this content between V, CSS, welcome and channel and the left side and the left border of our box. So to increase the space or to give padding, what we can do is we can write padding, K-P-A-D-D-I-N-G it is, padding left we have to write here. Padding left is, let's say we are going to define it as 10 pixels. Fine, save it. And here you can see the space on the left hand side between the left border and the content is now 10 pixels. Similarly, we can define the space between the content and the right hand side as well. We have to write padding right for that. So for let's just write, we are going to write here padding right. Again we are going to write here 10 pixels and see if it makes any change or not. So it's not making any change because of the word about. Let's keep it 100 pixels and see, this is 100 pixels. This space between the right border and the content, it is 100 pixels now. Let's make it 10 again. We have two more properties like the padding top and padding bottom. So the properties, the shorthand properties will remain the same just like margin. Now what we are going to do is we are going to write here 50 pixels, save it, and here you can see we have 50 pixels between the top border and a content. Similarly, we can define border padding bottom as well. Padding bottom, let's say we are going to write here 50 pixels again, save it, and here you can see we have 50 pixels present in between the bottom border and the content. So this is how padding works. Padding actually, the shorthand property of padding works similarly to that of margin. So if we are going to write here padding and if we are going to write here 25 pixels, it will apply 25 pixels to all the four sides. Fine, save it, and here you can see 25 from the top, 25 from the left, from the bottom, and from the right as well. Fine, so it's 25 pixels basically. It works actually fine. Negative values are not allowed in padding. So if we talk about margin, we are allowed to mention negative values, but in padding, negative values are not allowed. Now, the shorthand property we just discussed, and apart from that, we can give 4 different values over here. It will remain the same: top, right, bottom, and left. It will go clockwise, starting from the top, goes till left. Fine. So if we'll write here 25 for the top, 10 pixels, it will make 10 pixels on the right, and 5 pixels for the bottom, it will create 5 pixels, and 25 on the left will create 25 on the left. So it's working totally fine. And if we are going to keep only these two values, the first value is going to be the value for top and bottom, and the second value is going to be the value for left and right. So it works similarly to margin here. Fine. So this is how the three properties actually work: the border property, the margin property, and the padding property. So I hope you guys understood what we discussed in this particular video. Now, if you guys feel like we missed out on any topic, you can let us know in the comment section. We'll definitely go through the comment section and we'll try to answer your questions as soon as possible. So I hope you guys understood what all we discussed in this particular video. So it's quite important to use all the three topics or all the three properties while working on a web page. So this is how we are going to use the property. And I guess it's more than enough for this video, guys. I hope to see you guys in another video, in the next video. So we'll be coming live on every alternate days. If you guys want to learn CSS live with us, then do join us, do join our live sessions. So with that, this is Kaushal signing off until next time. Thank you guys for being here with us.